having thought about that game yesterday, the like big ol' no-show that they had up in MetLife, what's your level of expectation for them being able to turn things around this week against Tampa Bay?
So I look at last week's game in conjunction with the game the previous week. And the reason
it's hard to divorce those two.
Yeah, because look, I was listening to Ike Reese on the radio when I was coming in today, and on WIP, and Ike said that like those guys didn't want to be out there yesterday, right? They're not going to say that publicly, but at that point when they're not out there trying to like win that game. They're out there trying to not get hurt.
Right. There's the clips of Bradley Roby's like quote unquote tackle where he's not really even trying, but
yeah, it's like so you can't. So his point, and then for most of the game, they're playing without 3 of their 4 best offensive weapons, right? So but that game is concerning. Look, if they beat the Cardinals the week before,
I totally agree,
and the situation was that, like, and the stakes were still the same.
Right, exactly. And
they played that way. I'd be like, look, this is week 18. It's what matters is the playoffs. Right. But given the context of the way they crapped the bed against Arizona, the way that they were inconsistent in the second half against the Giants, the way that they lost to Seattle, right? That was concerning to me, because what that showed me yesterday was that either they're not responding to their coach, or they're not good enough to just like show up. And either one's concerning, right? Because Nick kept saying these guys haven't quit. Well, if they haven't quit, then the alternative is that's the product.
They stink, yeah.
And if that's the product, then that's a bad thing. Because as Fletcher Cox said after the game, they lost to a really bad football team. Like, the Giants are not good. And
Wink Martindale back on the market.
Yeah, look. If you want someone who blitzes, hire Wink, and he'd be entertaining for us. But
I think that's exactly right. It is. You cannot divorce what happened in week 17 with what happened in week 18. If that had just been like a blip in the road before the playoffs, fine. But given everything that came before it, and like AJ Brown having to pound the table for Nick Sirianni before that, you cannot believe that this team can just turn it on. And I also it's not just the players, it's the coaches. I know we've talked about it, but the fact that they did not have a better plan for those blitzes in the first half of the game when the game mattered still, and Jalen Hurts was in there, it is mind-boggling that we are still here having these conversations this late in the season.
I am with you. Now, for my confidence for this week, I keep going back to like the Bucs. The Bucs won 9 games this year. They scored 3 field goals yesterday against the Panthers in a must-win game. Okay, that's it. The only real exposure I had to the Bucs this year, outside of clips here and there, was that Week 3 game when the Eagles totally overmatched them. We've been saying for a few weeks that the NFC South is a susceptible division, and that if you have the 5 seed, like that first-round matchup's not too bad. Now, the Eagles, the Cardinals are one of the worst teams in the league. The Giants are one of the worst teams in the league. Both those teams didn't just beat them. They destroyed them. So, yeah, there's little reason to believe that the Eagles can go down there and all of a sudden flip a switch, except the Eagles are a much more talented team. And you don't want to say that they can't flip a switch when if they're able to, because you also don't want to be like, once this team gets momentum, look, they have a franchise quarterback. If AJ and Devontae are healthy, the weapons they have are...
You're already talking about they can play a home game.
Well, let me explain this to the audience here, okay? The two other playoff games this week,
spicy matchups.
I don't think I think that Green Bay can be a tough matchup for Dallas, and that Jordan Love's hot right now. The Rams are a hot team, and I think that Sam Laporta injury for the Lions is a huge injury that affects their offense. So what I said is that in theory, and I don't think this is going to happen.
It's literally true.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to happen, okay? But if, like, on Saturday and Sunday, if the 6th seed and the 7th seed win, and then all of a sudden the Eagles only have to beat the Bucs to get a home playoff
If that's
game.
the case, they will definitely lose.
They'll definitely lose, yeah, because everything's set up for them.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, I do not think that's going to happen. And by the way, I see in the chat, Todd Bowles' defense matters. Look, I like Todd Bowles, and they have the third highest blitz rate in the league. The Eagles are struggling against the blitz, and that's why we have 5 shows this week. We will get into it, but that week 3 game, the Eagles just were able to handle everything in that game, and I'm curious to see how that will translate.
Now, listen, certainly the Eagles have more talent, but the numbers are not like there's not a huge difference between the Eagles and Bucs even over the course of the season. Eagles are 14th in DVOA, Bucs are 18th.
Okay.
Eagles are 10th on offense against the 14th ranked Bucs defense. Bucs are 20th on offense against the 29th ranked Eagles defense. Eagles are number 1 in special teams. Bucs are 18th, but if you do weighted DVOA, which counts recency a little bit more, Eagles are 21st, Bucs are 15th. So,
good point. So why do you think the Eagles are favored?
That's a good question. I mean, they have more name recognition. They have more talent. I can see the casual thinking that, there's
the casual.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
What do you think the Sharps are thinking right now?
I think it's already moved from 2.5 to 1.5.
So that tells you.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, yeah, I
don't know.
The Eagles have given very little reason for confidence, and that quote that I had in the lead of my story today, where Sirianni says, "Yeah, we've lost 5 to 6 games," that does not discredit the other the other 11. I mean, they're going into the post. If you believe momentum matters, they're going into the postseason with the least amount of momentum a team could ever have. I mean, it's like you have to go back to Cincinnati in the NCAA tournament when Kenyon Martin got hurt. Remember that?
Yes. And they gave him a 2 seed, like they split the baby.
Yeah, exactly. There is no momentum for the Eagles, and they've given little reason to believe that they can win this game.